Let's talk about the Chiefs potentially making a bold move for a left tackle in this year's draft, Frank Clark's release pretty much being officially official, and then look at a wide receiver who keeps getting mentioned with the Kansas City Chiefs. But first, how about those? All right, with the news dropping yesterday that the Chiefs will not be franchise tagging Orlando Brown Jr., it's officially done. The deadline was today, and there were only 6 players tagged. Nobody on the Chiefs, just so you know. But with that becoming official, that means the Chiefs are either very confident on both sides that a long-term deal is going to get done, or the more than likely scenario based on rumblings around the league is that the Chiefs and Orlando's agent are not close on a deal, and because of that, Orlando could walk in free agency and sign with another team. And if that happens, what then? Well, Devin Clements of Heavy.com has, a couple things worth talking about here. He says if Orlando Brown Jr. walks in free agency, Chiefs Kingdom will need to tamper their expectation regarding left tackle play next season. There are few options. So there are only a few options in free agency / draft based on where the Chiefs sit that will give them left tackle play equal to Orlando's, and trading for a good left tackle isn't easy either. And yeah, there will be some veteran options that become available in free agency, such as Donovan Smith, the 29-year-old left tackle the Bucs just released today, but I don't think he's going to be considered unless Veach sees something there. He was graded out as the 51st best tackle out of 57 that played 50% of snaps last season per Pro Failure Focus. But again, these are the kind of options you'll be getting released by teams, a temporary veteran solution that may not equal the talent level of Orlando, but it could be close, and the better option than signing Orlando long-term if A, they are not even close on agreeing on a price, talking about the Chiefs and Orlando and his representation, if that's certainly what is going on, and B, the Chiefs have their sights on another route for the long term, such as this example from Matt Verderame, formerly of Arrowhead Addict, but now with Sports Illustrated. Congrats on that, by the way, bro. He said this in an article that he put out today. For Veach, re-signing Brown would be ideal, but is not essential. With a multi-year pact, Kansas City would be able to minimize this year's cap hit and spread the financial burden across multiple years, likely in ascending cap numbers with declining guarantees. A tag hampers this winter's plans while providing no certainty moving forward. And if the Chiefs lose Brown in free agency, they have 9 draft picks plus pending compensatory selections, likely giving them another 3. Kansas City will then have the ability to move up and snag a rookie left tackle early if needed. We saw this strategy last spring when Veach traded 1st, 3rd, and 4th round selections to the Patriots, moving up 8 slots to pluck corner Trent McDuffie from Washington with the 21st overall pick. So yeah, with the draft being in Kansas City, the location just playing a minor convenient role, but still worth noting. Just imagine the Chiefs make a major move up in the first round to grab a potential franchise left tackle of the future. Now, let me be clear right off the front here. That's going to be hard to do. You've got to move up to pick 8, pick 10, pick 12, somewhere around there, maybe pick 15, just depending on how many left tackles are left at that time and how strong this draft even is at the left tackle position. But it is an intriguing thought, to say the least. Sure, it requires draft capital, but if you do that, you stay young and cheap on the O-line for a tad longer at most positions aside from Toney, one of the highest paid guards in the league, because in the near future, you will need to also think about extending Creed Humphrey or also Trey Smith, and then Toney won't be around forever. And as far as right tackle goes, Wiley could be back, but there's also Darian Kennard, a prospect for the right tackle position at least, and then Lucas Niang, who returned from that season-ending injury late last year. He's still in KC as well. Anyway, more of that in a later video, but you guys have to let me know your thoughts on the Chiefs potentially saying screw it and taking a massive swing on a round 1 left tackle like they did years ago. I mean, sort of, with Eric Fisher, for example. I mean, he was the 1st overall pick, and the Chiefs are probably not getting that high up there, but somewhere in the 10 to 15 range, perhaps. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. And next up, I want to talk about Frank Clark's release basically becoming official, and a wide receiver who keeps circulating with the Chiefs' name as a suitor. But first, I want to let you guys know a very exciting announcement, and that is I'm hosting my first ever private meetup event, and it's going to be the day before the draft in Kansas City on Wednesday, April 26th, 6 to 9 p.m. at Boulevard Brewery, my favorite beer of all time. That's right, I rented out the rec deck to celebrate a few things. The Chiefs Super Bowl win, the channel hitting 100,000 subs, which we will do by then for sure, and then also to celebrate the fact that the draft is in Kansas City, and tickets are $50 to get in plus ticket fees, but that price includes drinks on tap, a barbecue dinner, giveaways, and a chance to hang out as a community in a really awesome venue. There are only 150 spots total allowed for this event, and over 60 have already been sold to members of the channel. So if you want to make sure to get a spot, go to register.hbtchiefs.com. Link is also in the bio, and get a ticket before they run out. And we also do have some sponsorship opportunities for those who have a business and may be interested in partnering up for the event. And if you're interested in that, just email Danny@hbtchiefs.com, and I look forward to seeing you there if you can make it. All right, in other news, it was announced yesterday that Frank Clark is soon to be released by the Chiefs, as his agent in KC had conversations at the NFL Combine and were not able to come to terms on a new deal. And it was confirmed today by the Chiefs themselves that Frank Clark is indeed gone, when they not only posted this graphic saying, "Forever a Kansas City Chief, thank you for everything 5-5, but also released a farewell video of him. And that to me means Frank Clark is indeed gone. Maybe he could come back later in free agency on a very cheap deal, but you would think if that was a possibility and something Frank Clark actually wanted, they would have been able to work this out without having to cut him and eat $7 million in dead cap. So I find that somewhat unlikely, or rather unlikely, at least right now. Anyway, Frank Clark tweeted this out himself yesterday, thankful for the ups and downs per usual. And regardless of Frank's next season in the NFL, he's a legend here in KC forevermore, and nothing will change that. And then we got to talk about a wide receiver that has been buzzing around the Chiefs rumor mill as of late. But first, here's a little context. Matthew Berry of NBC Sports recently released an article called something along the lines of the 23 most interesting things he learned at the NFL Combine from having coffee, eating at restaurants, hanging in bars, and talking with any connection he had to the NFL from current relationships or new ones that he made on the trip. And the Chiefs came up a few times involving a certain receiver. And one time he was given this quote, "My nipples are hard." Yes, that's what he said. "My nipples are hard" for Allen Lazard. Matthew then said, my source goes on to explain that this was a phrase he heard about Lazard, one of the top free agent wide receivers this year in a fairly thin class. "I heard both the Ravens and the Chiefs really like Lazard, and my sense is that Lazard returning to Green Bay is not out of the question, but an unlikely outcome." Okay, so someone's nipples are apparently hard for Allen Lazard, and it could be a source for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is an interesting phrase to use, to say the least, but I do like it a lot. On top of that, MVS tweeted out on February 25th that Lazard deserves to get paid, sharing a quote from an NFL exec that said, "You can do a lot of things with Lazard in your offense. He makes contested catches, he blocks, he can hurt you with his size, pause, and he probably runs better than you realize." And MVS then said that Lazard, his former teammate in Green Bay, should also come to Kansas City, to which Lazard responded with eyeball emojis. And I don't know, if they bring in Lazard, it's not for a wide receiver one type of role, in my opinion, but he could for sure bring production. Last season, he had 60 receptions for 788 yards and 6 touchdowns. And out of receivers who played 50% of snaps last season, according to PFF, he was actually graded 35th overall out of 40. So pretty low on that list, but was 29th in receiving, 29th in drops as far as grades go, and then he was 7th out of 40 in his pass blocking grade. So yeah, definitely a great blocker, which he is known for, but not necessarily an elite top 10, 15 receiver by any means, being graded 35th out of 40 overall, yet could be utilized by Patrick Mahomes, certainly. And if the Chiefs are interested, maybe they could entice him to come to KC on a team-friendly deal, but time will certainly tell. He is only 27 years old and could certainly contribute, but I'm not sure he's the wide receiver one the Chiefs are looking for. I mean, there's JuJu to be considered as well, but we're going to get into that because the article continues saying that Matthew put out that the Chiefs do like Lazard and are, quote, looking at him, but people love JuJu, yet the concern around the league and in KC is JuJu cannot stay healthy all season long, especially in a 17-game season. So if you sign him, you have to understand you're not getting a full year out of him. He then said they also really like Justin Watson, who quietly played a lot of snaps. Only JuJu and MVS had more among wide receivers last year, but he's a very good blocker, so he ends up not getting nearly as many targets as he should. Watson is also a free agent and may want to go somewhere where he has a better chance chance of getting looks. And then I found this bit of the article interesting. Matthews said of the 2 KC guys that remain, which is really 3, he forgot about MVS, who is still technically under contract. He said they like both a lot. So again, he forgot MVS, but let's just talk about Sky and Kadarius Toney because that's where he's going. He says, but while Sky Moore is a nice player and well-liked within the Chiefs locker room, he doesn't have the upside or skill set of Kadarius Toney. They are blown away by all the different things he can do, and he is also very well liked internally there. They are very excited to get him for a full offseason and fully integrated into the offense. So if looking at the Chiefs wide receivers in their second year with the team, it's KT over Sky, and probably not that close. And that's the interesting part. It's KT over Sky as far as their excitement goes, and it's not even close. I am interested to see how Sky will do in the Chiefs offense during his second year on the team. Did not necessarily live up to expectations his first year, but again, it was only his first year here. The Chiefs had a decent receiving core, and he hopefully will have more upside this next season. But I can't lie, guys. A healthy Kadarius Toney all season long could spell disaster for the rest of the league. Very dangerous. I just hope he can indeed stay healthy. Anyway, with all that being said, what do you guys think about Allen Lazard to KC? Are you in line with my thinking of that? Sure, he can come over on a cheap team deal and contribute, but he won't be our wide receiver 1. Or are you a hard pass on the guy and the Chiefs need to look elsewhere? If so, where should they look? It seems the Chiefs are at least somewhat interested, though these days they are probably checking around everywhere, especially if they aren't sure JuJu Smith-Schuster is going to be returning. Either way, let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?